Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Language Facilitation Energy Focus. My name is Marci Melzer, and I'm an intuitive speech language pathologist and language facilitation coach and consultant with wavesofcommunication.com. And today's energy focus video is a little bit energy focus and a little bit hot topic because we definitely have a hot topic to talk about today. Let's get into it. Today's topic of the energy focus is systemic revolutions. And I have been talking about these changes that have been coming, the systemic tsunami of changes that has been coming, all of that stuff. And we're going to be talking about that today. I have a few extra things to share. So as always on my energy focus videos, we're going to be talking about three topics. We're going to be talking about the astrology that's going on. We're going to be talking about the top 3 videos that I have to share with you this week to work with the energies, and I have one of my language facilitation inspiration cards to share with you. And then after this video is done, after we're all done and wrapped up, a little bit later, I'm going to be doing an intuitive reading with my language facilitation inspiration cards, where we're going to be talking about how you can take inspired action with messages from lay talkers. Okay, so let's get started with the big news that I wanted to talk about. And like I said, I've been talking about these systemic changes that are coming. It's the whole reason that I developed my Waves of Communication platform, because I was finding struggles as a speech and language pathologist working in the system. And so I decided to create resources so that you can make your own system, work around it, work with it, work through it, however. And just so you know, the system is changing, and here's how it's changing. Let me pull up the... Sorry, got to get it all right. Here it is. So the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control in the United States, they have updated their guidelines. So the CDC's milestones and parent tips, this comes directly from their website, and all the links to this are in the description of this on the YouTube for sure. I'll get it on Facebook. So there have been 2 new checklists added, and the milestones have been updated. How have they been updated? In this way. The CDC has actually raised the percentage of children who typically meet certain milestones from 50, all the milestones. They go from, 9 months, I think it starts, I don't know, all the way up through 36 months at these developmental stages, right? And so they raise the percentage for each one from 50% to 75, meaning that at each stage, when they say at age this, your child should be doing this, 75% of children across the globe, they've tested so many of them, should be meeting these guidelines that they have on the CDC. Now, what does it mean when that happens, when they change it? Now, what they've done, the reason they've been able to be confident that more children are meeting these guidelines is because they've lowered the guidelines. Okay, that's the only way that they can get more children consistently. They're writing these as developmental norms, right? This is what is typical. You can go to their website and look through all of their tools. They've got apps, they've got lists, they've got checklists, they've got all kinds of stuff that say that if your child is at certain age, they should be doing certain things, right? And so what they've done 2 things to make these changes. They have decrease the criteria for each individual, and then they've stuck in 2 additional at 15 months and at 30 months, which are key developmental stages, right? When we're talking about kids being able to start doing things. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean for you? It means that fewer children will qualify for public services, such as early intervention, right? Because they will not show a significant delay. What the CDC isn't telling you And what you're hearing now on the social media is the people who advocate for earlier intervention. We need to get these kids identified and show their delays really early. Well, now they're not going to be showing a significant delay. There are going to be more and more kids who fit in to these categories because they've lowered the criteria for the categories, right? Now, again, what a significant discount in order to light the cash register is all I'm going to say for the services to begin, because somebody has to pay for the therapist to come to your house, somebody has to pay for the evaluation, somebody has to pay for the services ongoing, somebody has to pay for the paperwork to pay that therapist. All that money comes from somewhere, right? And with so many children showing up at, lower developmental skills because they've been home with their parents during the pandemic. They've not been in preschools. They've been on tech. They've been, not rising to the occasion. They're not charging forward. It's not like more children are rising to the occasion. It's that fewer children are rising to the occasion. So they've lowered the guidelines so that parents don't freak out. Because if you've been home during the pandemic with your late talking child and you haven't been able to have any kind of socialization or services or friends or anything like that, where you would do going to the park, going to the library, all the things that typically help a parent show normal developmental experiences, you haven't had them. There's these pandemic babies are in this range right now. They've been born 0 to 3 and they don't know what the world looks like, the open world where they can go out on buggy rides every day and see and learn from the world. Those opportunities have been missing for the littlest, especially of the kids in the world, for the past 18 months to 2 years, okay? And so the CDC doesn't want more families feeding their kids in early intervention where there's nothing really significantly wrong. There's nothing wrong at all with the children. They just haven't had experiences in the world. So fortunately, the CDC is encouraging people, you're not going to qualify for these services anymore. You're not going to get a helper to come in your house to do typical developmental stuff with your child. You're going to have to learn that on your own, because your child who's just late talking because they haven't had exposure to the world because the world's been shut down, okay? Your child needs exposure to the world now. That's what's going to have to happen, and you're going to have to do it. But it's not going to be through a system. It's not going to be through paying some therapist to come to your house to do it. It's going to be up to you. It's going to be up to you. And that's what's going to happen. That's what I predict, is that more and more parents are going to be looking for guidance, right? Because you're going to go to get a screening and you're going to go in the system and you're going to go to get your evaluation. And now they're going to be looking at these guidelines and they're going to say, I'm sorry, your child is, behind. Like maybe they don't meet the 75% of these kids, for this thing, but they're meeting most of them. And they also have to be across multiple areas. So maybe your child's not talking, but their motor skills are great. Their self-help skills are great because they've become independent in your house, right? They've learned how to do things for themselves. They're just not communicating with other people. So their speech may be at really low. They might be at 75% or 80% delay for speech only, but all the other skills are great, right? And if you're not at a 75% delay or longer, maybe you're only at a 50% delay. It's the 50% guidelines don't work anymore. Now you've got to be at a bigger delay with these lower skill guidelines to show you really have an impairment. You got to really have impairment to really qualify for services. But in the meantime, where kids have been qualifying for services with these limited guidelines, pretty much every kid's getting failing screenings and getting the next level of evaluation, and then they're failing those evaluations and they're getting services. And that's why it takes so long to get through these systems, because they have these guidelines as filters so that they're not sending out therapists to families' houses when families can learn to help their kids do developmental milestones themselves. You can learn yourself from all the resources on the CDC, from the resources on my channel, from the resources everywhere, right? And because of these guidelines, like I said, more parents are going to be looking for things to do on your own because the system's not going to be there. Just like it wasn't there during the pandemic, it went away. There was no more nice lady coming to your house to play with your kiddo. You had to do a Zoom meeting if you were in early intervention. And if that wasn't helping you, hopefully you talked to the therapist that was on the other side of that Zoom meeting and you asked them what you could do at home, what you could do. Because basic development of speech, of walking, of self-care, that's a parent's responsibility, parents and caregivers. If you can't do it because you're working 2 or 3 jobs, then you pay a nanny or a daycare provider or a babysitter, or you get grandma to do it, or somebody is responsible. Some parent or caregiver is responsible for facilitating normal development. That's why if you go on the CDC website and you look at those things and you see how your kiddo fits right in there, but they're not as good as other kids you want them to be, that's up to you. That's up to you. It's not the system's responsibility to help your child thrive. It's yours as a parent and caregiver. You have to equip and empower the child through yourself, especially for 0 to 3. This early intervention of just pass your kid over and we'll get them qualified in the system so that you can start to get services where people will come help them. From 0 to 3, the idea never was of early intervention, of you passing off that responsibility. It was for you to get guidance and support. Before it was called early intervention, it was called parent-infant education, where the primary parents and caregivers are educated. It should still be that because it is your responsibility. And if you've been passing it off, now we're going to get into the astrology. This is the conjunction of the Pluto return of the United States, the revolution of the United States. The system wasn't working. Things weren't working. And so they created a new system, right? So that they could develop things in the way they wanted, our forefathers. They developed a country the way they wanted. You're going to see these systemic changes. People are going to want to take things over, fight back for them. Look what's happening in Russia, okay, and Ukraine. The same kind of energy that's coming at these big revolutions is hitting home for families right now with these CDC guidance. This is how you're knowing. This is your sign that the system is changing, that it's not going to be available. I'm telling you what, there's not enough money in it to serve all these kids. There isn't. That's why the systems change. I've been in the system for decades, 3 decades. First, it happened with stroke patients, then it happened with early intervention, then it got on the autism chain, and now if you can't qualify for your low level whatever, you could get this autism diagnosis and get by these CDC guidelines because autism looks different and whatever. And I'm telling you, the autism guidelines are coming next. They're coming next. There's not enough money in these systems to keep giving free, unlimited services away to parents. They're going to have to filter the kids, and only the most severe will get those services. It cycles around like this every decade or so. Okay, I've seen it. That's why I left the system completely. All right, so this is a really hot topic video. As I said before, we're talking about a lot of energies. Now we talked about the planets. It's this Pluto return that's affecting everybody. Now, the good news about it is we've got a lot of really positive energy going on with this Mars and Venus little dance that's going on. Pluto's moving into Pisces. Mercury's out of its shadow. We've got lots of positive energy for you to work with this. These CDC awarenesses, that's what it is. It's information for us to work with. Now, here are the top. Let's get into the top 3 videos that I have for you this week on the Waves of Communication platform that might help you if you're in the process of all of this and you've been watching my videos on this same topic. Let's get to video number 1, which is a really old school video that I did when I first started the Waves of Communication platform, and it is this one here. What to do when the system fails. It's the whole point of why I started doing Waves of Communication in the first place. I could see the system failing, and it was failing more and more and more. Now it's really failing. With these CDC guidelines, fewer kids are going to get those gate key diagnoses that will get them into those services. You're not going to get it anymore. You're not going to get the label. You're going to get fights from people who are trying to do that label with your child. All of that. And if you want to know about autism diagnosis and all of how that happens, there's lots of videos on my channel. I'm not going to talk about them, but I am going to talk about something else that's going to happen. Another system, was we're talking about systems that are failing, systems that are breaking down right now. The way it used to work, the way you used to be able to get in is not going to happen anymore. It's going to start shutting and shutting and shutting. And it's all because there's not enough money to give away free help to everybody. You're going to have to learn to help yourself. And so here's another thing. Should parents use alternative communication with late talking children? This is another thing that people throw at you when you get diagnoses, because they say once you hit a certain level of impairment, you can't talk. You're not able to use spoken language or learn spoken language the way other kids are able to learn. But now with these CDC guidelines, these kids are going to show, because they're going to be lower expectations of them. They're going to say, well, let's keep working because we haven't hit the next level yet. Let's keep working at this level to facilitate this level before we give up and say a child is impaired because they haven't met a level. Let's facilitate that next level ourselves, because again, you're not going to have services to do it for you. But somebody might want to use your insurance with your diagnosis or your whatever to pay for these systems. They're alternative systems that are going to break down. These limited labels and even Gestalt phrases that are programmed into devices, they're never enough. They never match the vast amount of language that's inside your child's brain. And so they break down eventually. And this video talks about if it's breaking down. If you've been presented with one, they only work for a certain period of time until they start breaking down. If yours is start breaking down, it's time to start transitioning away from it. You may have needed it at the beginning, but they always break down. They are designed to be transitional to spoken language. They are if you're watching my videos, because we're talking about spoken language that all kids are capable, and we know they're capable because we facilitate their effort to make the speech come themselves. We don't program it and hope it comes like you do in a device. We equip and empower the kids to develop it themselves. So if you're on that train and you want to equip and empower a late talker, you really want to watch that AAC video if that's what's been suggested to you. Okay, and the third video that I have is about changing your mental system, the cognitive system, the neurological system in your brain. You can change this system through your habits and patterns, through neuroplasticity, right? And that's one of the most popular videos on my channel because it equips and empowers you with strategies you can use. If you're getting doors shut in your face from providers, from payers, from whoever, because you want to, this is what we're supposed to do, or even the doctor told you. Because remember, the things that were recommended even weeks ago are now not, we don't do those anymore. We don't meet those qualifications anymore. The new normal is these new norms. Right? When we talk about what's going to come out after the pandemic, what's the revolutionary change going to be? It's going to be requiring you to equip and empower yourself. You cannot rely on these systems because they are designing themselves away from being a mass production situation. They only were designed in the very beginning to serve the most needy, the most severe kids, the parents who truly are struggling with kids with real diseases and fears about, I wonder if my late talker has autism because he's lining up toys and flapping his hands. Those kids aren't going to qualify anymore. You're going to have a diagnosis, a medical diagnosis, and or genetics testing, and or, you're going to have real stuff to show a 75% or more delay, right? Because with these 50 to 75% of kids, if you're not in that 75, then you must really be delayed. And you're going to show it. It's going to be very easy to see There's not going to be any more, I wonder if he's autistic or late talking. No, no, no. You're going to see in these new guidelines, oh, yeah, my kid's late talking. He's doing that and that and that, but, he's not that severe. He's not that low. He's not at least 75% of the time he's doing whatever. And those ideas of maybe just here and there he does it and not all the time, and we're going to get him qualified on I saw it one time and I get it, that stuff's not going to fly anymore, because the more evidence-based that comes out of these things. I just saw the newest article from the CDC that says they were going to require standardized testing. So now you're not even going to be able to guess your way in. You're going to have a standardized test that shows numbers, that your child is numbers-wise 75% below all the other kids that are in that 75% of them in the easier criteria. So it's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to just get services anymore. It's going to be back to lockdown, gate key times, and it's because of the money. The money's running out. So this energy update is all about revolutions and your responsibility to take this on yourself. Now, of course, I have all the resources you need to help you figure all this out. Boomer says Marci's awesome. Like I said, I have done my best to create resources everywhere for you that you can learn how to do all this. I have books, I have cards, I have courses, I have coaching, I have, all of that stuff available for anybody in any price range. And as a matter of fact, if you want coaching and you have questions, you can join me every Thursday for live Q&A right here. I'm just going to show you this little graphic. You can join me every week on Thursdays and ask questions. So it doesn't matter what your financial level is, what your diagnosis situation is, where you live in the world. As far as I've got early intervention where I live, or I don't have it where I live, it's not going to be available anywhere for all these kids. There are so many now who are late talking, and they all are not autistic. They all have had limited experience, and that's a fact. Everyone knows that their kids have had limited experience. We've all had limited experience in the past 2 years. On top of that, we've been worried about our lack of experience. We've been worried about where money's coming from. We've been worried about who's going to get sick. People around us have died. There's been a lot of energy that's shaking things up, and that's what goes with revolution, right? My best advice to you, all of you, is to ride through this by equipping and empowering yourself. It's not a time for lack of action. It's a time for awareness of what's blowing up around you, what's really available for you, and what you need to do, okay? And the card that I picked for today is this one. It's called It's a Messy Situation. I'm going to show you because I've got the graphic here. It's this one. It's a messy situation, because it is. When the norms change, it's the foundation. We always used to do things this way. These are the rules. This is the way we do things. The rules are going. The powers that be have changed the rules, right? And that's what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. That's what's happening all over the world now as things open up. Overnight, they change the rules. Okay, no more of this. Okay, more of this. Okay, now we're doing this. Okay, we're doing that. You never know what's going on. It's messy. As you work through it, it's messy, okay? And so what's the advice on the back of this card? The inspired action. Clean up together, right? We know it's messy. We're all covered in mud, right? We're all in the same situation. But lay talkers need coaching, right? Just like I know you need coaching, that's why you're watching this video. You need coaching to help you navigate messy situations. Oh no, the XYZ is done. It's gone. I don't have it anymore. My kid's favorite food isn't available because of, the trucking stuff and all of that going on. All of these messy situations, right? When you work with them as your focus topic, you're going to be amazing. It's going to have amazing progress. And so what you do is you present the facts out loud in simple terms without emotion. It is what it is. We're covered in mud. The thing is closed. The CDC guidelines changed. It is what it is. There is not, your resources are suddenly not available. the ones that you counted on, the ones that you planned on, the ones that you relied on, that other people relied on and helped them, and you want to be like them. All that stuff is potentially going away. And if it doesn't, in one form of your life, it could in others with all this planetary stuff going on, right? So then you acknowledge the challenge. Okay, so now this is what it is. This is what we've got going on. This is what we're looking at. You offer support through the doubts and fears. I wonder how we're going to clean up, But you remember, of course, you've been clean in the past, and you know how to clean up. You know where soap is, you know where water is, and those are metaphors for whatever it is going on. If you're late talking, if your kid's not walking yet, if your kid's not eating right, if your kid's showing behaviors, that's where you start digging, looking for resources to help solve those problems. Clean them up, problem by problem by problem by problem. And you demonstrate workable ideas. I know where the soap and water is. Let's give it a try together. These are ideas. Hey, let's try it this way. Let's try it this way. I'll help you. Let's work together. We'll do it. And when you do clean it up, that's what's so fun about it. When you get all the mess cleaned up, then you've got a sense of accomplishment that sustains, that demonstrates that you are the source of learning, of problem solving, of forward progress. When all the doors close, you as the facilitator are equipping and empowering with materials and support and coaching and assistance through all this stuff. That's what I'm here to do for you. During this period of time where you're struggling with, I don't know what to do, I got to call somebody. This is your time when it's up to you to figure out what to do. It's time to look at resources around you. It's time to use what is available, because I promise you, regardless of anything else in the world, you right now watching this video have everything you need to get your late talker talking. You do. Everything you need to take the first steps to get there as you need, step by step by step. You have everything you need right now. And if you want to get your results elevated, this is when you make an investment into learning more, into getting a book, into reading a course, into getting assistance, okay? Because if you're looking for someone outside of yourself to do it for you, that fix my kid mentality, instead of, I can do this, I need to do this, no one else is going to do this, it's me. I'm up to making this revolution. You may not be able to control what's happening overseas or on the supply chains or whatever, but you can control what's happening in your life, in your bubble, in your house, with your late talker. Okay, I know you can, because parents are doing it all over the world, and I've got the stuff to help you make it happen. So please visit wavesofcommunication.com. And, here's Fanny saying, please like this video. Thank you so much for saying that, Fanny. This is incredible for you to help you learn. Again, I'm guided to do this because I know it's necessary. I know I can't come to your house, just like there is nobody else available to come and help you. You can figure it out, okay? So thanks for watching today. Again, like this video, share it with your friends. Don't worry about the CDC guidelines. They're set up to create filters in the system that are designed to show you that you don't need it. You don't need it unless you need it. You know who you are if you really need the system, right? But if you know that it's safe and it's definitely not fun to navigate the competition of my kid got it, your kid didn't, none of that is necessary. None of it. Because you have everything you need to teach your child right now. Okay, and if you don't know yet, keep watching, because we've got a lot coming on. Now, I'm going to pop off and pop back on in a little bit of time for my reading, so stay tuned. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe so you get notified when I come on. You'll be able to pipe in a little question, and yeah, I'll get to you about all of that. So thanks again for joining me, everybody. Don't forget to visit wavesofcommunication.com for all of the resources you need to equip and empower you to find the spoken language you want in your late talker, no matter what the diagnosis is. Don't worry about the systems falling apart. It's happening on purpose to show you how capable you are. right? That's why I'm here. My whole mission is to equip and empower you and to show you that you can do it. So let's get it done, okay, everybody? I'll see you all on the next video. Bye for now.